Hello and welcome. Today, I'm going to be talking with Chris, 2E0 Uniform Kilo Hotel. I got that right, don't I?
That's spot on, Rob. Yeah, hiya.
Okay, good. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about our attempts at scheduling contacts. Chris is in the UK, and I'm in New England in the United States. And we've had a couple of successful contacts, and we thought we would kind of talk a little bit about that with everyone here today.
The idea is if I can do it, anyone can do it. You know, I'm in a block of flats. You know, it's like, I think you call it a condominium over there. There's no garden. You know, HF is difficult. So you don't give up. I just jump in the car, sit on a hilltop. I know you do parks on the air, don't you? You go out and sit in the field. I like to sit in the car. And, you know, for some reason, I can hit America quite easily. It's not too difficult. You know, I mean, obviously I've got my aerials tuned properly, but I'm only allowed 50 watts. You know, I'm 50 watts and I never go over that. There's no need to, because you can do it. I've done it on 10, 20 watts.
Yeah, I remember the first time we made a contact was, what was it, maybe about 6 months or so ago? I don't remember the exact time.
Yeah.
It was the situation that you just described. You were out in the field on a hill.
Hamstick.
With a hamstick in your car,
Yeah.
50 watts. ICOM 7100?
7,300 at the time, I should think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were out on the field, and I think you were either, I don't know if you were live streaming or we happened to talk about it on the Discord channel in the background, but I knew you were on the air. So I was in the shack here and I fired up and I could hear you. So we were able to make a contact, which was great.
How far are we? About 3,500, 4,000 miles away?
I think it's 4 or maybe 5,000. But yeah, it's a good distance, of course, across the ocean and everything. And
yeah, we love trying to get across that water.
Yeah, and 5-hour time difference. So, you know, conditions are different in your part of the world than they are in mine on certain bands at certain times. You know, we had a lot of fun with that. And then after that, we tried a few more times, but we didn't succeed those times.
That's right. We failed a few times, and we succeeded. We did quite well. We succeeded twice, didn't we? Did it again recently. I was on the 70-100 in the car. I think I had the slide winder coil, a coil that you move, that you move it up and down, and it brings different parts of the coil in. And
that was once again we had been talking on the Discord a little bit for a day or two ahead of that. And yeah. I knew that I was going to be out doing a Parks on the Air at that point. So I let you know in a private message. So you got your stuff set up in the car. You went out to your hill, and I got my stuff set up, and I went up to my POTA park, which is also on a hill. We were able to make a contact. It was a little bit rough copy for me.
Yeah, and I sent you an audio clip, didn't I? Did you see the audio clip I sent you?
And I was coming in stronger to you than you were to me, but we were able to make the contact. And again, it was fun because I did that POTA activation. I made, I don't know, 70 or so contacts that day, but only one to England, and that was you.
Yeah, and that's because we tried so hard, didn't we? Because what it was, I contacted you originally. I said, because we've been friends for a few years now. I said, I like how you're doing that HF parks on the air. I just had, after seeing you operating, I had to try and contact you, and see if it was possible. And we tried quite a few times and failed, and we did it with the hamstick, and then we did it, recently. But the point of this video is, if I can do it, anyone can. I mean, I don't know what power you were using. I was mobile, on fairly small aerials, nothing special, and on 50 watts. If I can do it, anyone. What power were you on? Quite a lot more, weren't you?
No, actually, when I was POTA, when I run POTA, I always run 73 watts. 73. Good luck. Power. I just have a small battery, and that seems to work well with the radio. And then in the shack, I just have 100 watts. So really not any different in the shack. Brilliant. When I was POTA, my antenna was an end-fed half wave, and I had it. I had the far end up on a 30-foot tower, so that may have helped a little bit. Here in the shack, I just have a dipole out in the yard, and that's only about 15 feet high. So I don't have anything elaborate here either. And to your point, Chris, if we can do it, anybody can. It just sometimes takes a little bit of planning
Exactly.
and in some degree band conditions too. You have to kind of factor that in. But
I was on the I didn't just say to you, give me a call at random without checking. I would go on the band and I would hear a lot of America on, and I'd check the SFI, and that would be good. I'd be hearing lots of American stations. I've not just contacted you. I spoke to Chuck. Is it KK6USY?
Yeah, and that's a good contact.
Yeah, but he's quite over to the west, isn't he?
Yeah, he's about 3,000 miles west of me. So if you were able to contact Chuck, then you're doing real well. And
Steve, temporary offline, he heard me.
Okay, and he's
just about got through to him. He'll kill me. I forgot his call sign. Is it W7HU? Something like that.
I think that's it. Yeah.
The guy who had the government jam in the 40-meter band. Yeah, and a lot of these are on 15 meters. They're on bands that have been quiet for quite a long time. So it's quite exciting.
That's a good point too. Some of these higher bands are starting to open up a little bit. And
absolutely,
some of those bands are good for these long distance contact because the noise floor is lower. But again, to your point, even if you fail the first time, keep trying. Because
the reason we did it is because we failed so much.
Right.
If we never failed, we never tried.
Just to relate another story, kind of similar. A friend of mine that I've been corresponding with him through YouTube for a while now, and he just put together an HF station. He's a general, and he wanted to test it out. So just like you and I, Chris, we talked through a text message and set up a time, and we started off on 40 meters. He's in Tennessee, and I'm in Connecticut. So about 1,000, maybe 1,200 miles. So we started off on 40. We thought that would be our best bet. It failed. I couldn't hear him. He couldn't hear me. So then we just kept trying, and then we found 20 meters worked, and we've been able to contact each other a few times.
I've been a ham over 10 years, and I've never noticed that I'm getting less and less interested. I'm not saying that for 1 minute, but you do slightly. And if you speak to America every day on HF, after a while, it wouldn't be as exciting. I mean, it stands to reason, doesn't it? But when you get involved with being an Elmer, helping someone else out, they'll ring you up in the middle of the night and you go, oh, flipping it, I don't want, but I'll do it because, and you end up enjoying it, and you realize what it was you used to, why you got into it and what was the magic of radio.
Yeah. And that's an excellent point. Cause I've been licensed since 1992, and I've been in and out of the hobby several times over the years. And I've even got somebody that kind of keeps my interest here locally. He's always coming up with ideas and things that he wants to try. And like you said, sometimes I'm, busy or preoccupied with something else. But then once he starts telling me about this project he's working on, gets my interest again.
Yeah.
Let's try that and see if it works. And then, I'm out there trying the same thing. And in fact, some of the motivation for some of my videos comes from him, because he's been, trying something and having success. So we're failing sometimes. And I'm right there with him because he's getting my interest and keeping me interested in it. So that's part of this too, trying to make a contact with you, in the UK with fairly modest equipment, 100 watts and a wire or a ham stick or something like that. And we're able to do it. We don't have to spend tons of money on amplifiers and towers and antennas to kind of make it work. We just have to be patient and enjoy the process.
Exactly. Enjoy failing. Because it leads to success in the end if you persevere. So by the way, what I just wanted to say, it wasn't just the HF contacts. I like pushing every type possible of communication on ham radio, pushing it to its limits. I was just is it okay if I just share my screen with you? I was learning perfect. How to do it.
Go right ahead.
I just had 4 videos. I won't play them, but 4 videos just to show what I'm doing here. It might be interesting for people to see. I'm beta testing this mag loop. This is a 2E0UKH mag loop antenna. he makes the capacitor himself. He makes everything.
Oh, wow.
That coax is it West Flex? It's really is high quality coax.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's 3D printed, and I'm beta testing this for him and testing it. And this is a triple mag loop, and this one that I'm testing is 80 meters to 20 meters. That's the key thing. I'm experimenting on 80 and 20 with this aerial. This video was to show that I got a contact into Sweden from the UK on 80 meters. And you can clearly see, I was on the radio here. I tried to show it in one continuous sweep, going through my lounge, the coax, and then the radio, one sweep. You could see it was genuine. And then I made a contact into Sweden or
Excellent.
Switzerland. Another one here was speaking to Australia. No, you saw this, didn't you? This is France. I'm in the UK, and I managed to open repeaters in France, 300 miles away. And so that was a lot of fun.
And that was probably Tropo, right? If I remember right.
Yes, that was Tropospheric Ducting. Yes.
Excellent.
So I do a lot of that. When we get Tropo here, we hear different countries, on VHF and UHF. If you get Tropo, you probably hear a state or another state the other side of it. You just hear different American voices from different parts of America.
Generally speaking, yeah. If I'm lucky, I could get Canada, but that hasn't happened.
Using this mobile aerial, I managed to get to Australia from the UK, and that's 12,000 miles away. That's the furthest contact for me.
That's great.
Just this was on 50 watts, from the mobile, very modest little setup. And I always do a continuous sweep video from talking to someone to actually walking out, in one sweep, so you can see it. There's people think you're making it up. Another one which I enjoy doing. This is the New York repeater, KQ2H in the Catskill Mountains of New York. That's 3,500 miles away from me. This is an FM repeater on 10 meters, and I'm opening it from my car on 50 watts. So I like trying things that are a bit out the ordinary. It's not just me. Hayden, Amateur Radio DX, he's opened we were having a discussion in the Discord. He's open. He knew exactly what it was. He's done it from Australia.
Well, definitely we'll have links to your channel in these videos in the description in case anybody wants to go through them.
Yeah. If you know a ham, you've got a friend, it's not about social media. Try and arrange a contact. You will learn a lot. You will learn what bands work at what time of day. If it's someone 50 miles away, 100 miles away, it might be very difficult to do it on HF. You might be better off using 10 meters or even VHF or UHF. Keep going back and having a think about it. And this is actually a thing, isn't it? It's called making a sked, arranging a sked with another operator. So either by a phone call or an email or Facebook Messenger is great because there's groups full of hams who want to do this, try and arrange a contact and arrange one that's difficult because you'll crack it in the end.
It's a great positive message, and, keep trying. If you don't succeed the first time, keep at it, make some changes, see what works, see what doesn't, and, enjoy the process and learn from it.
Yeah. And a few tips, what I did, Rob, for your viewers, if I go to QRZ, I just go to QRZ.com, this section with the all the numbers and figures on that not many people understand. And the top left, it says SFI, the solar flux index, Rob?
Yeah, that's what I know it as.
I mean, some days I look at this and it's 70. It's low. I think when I hit the New York repeater, for example, on 10 meters, I think this was about 120. And you can see if the bands are dead, can't you, as well? So that's quite handy. And take today, for example, look, 17 and 15 meters are fair. Now, this is the bit I find misleading because I was on 15 meters today and I could hear loads of America. It doesn't always tie in all this information. It's
a good guideline, and I know.
Yes, it's a good guideline, but don't cancel your journey based on these colours. Just because they're red, don't stay at home. Give it a go.
Yeah, the way I look at it is I kind of look at that to kind of get an idea and try it anyway. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, maybe it's because those numbers were low.
Sorry, on that day I contacted you. Do you remember? It was going grey line. It was going dark. Like I said, in 20 minutes, it's going dark.
Mm-hmm.
And my leisure battery, I use a leisure battery in the back of my car, and it had gone flat. And I raced home. Raced home. I got two leisure batteries. That's 70 amp hours, and another one that's 110. I got the big one out.
Oh yeah.
And I raced back up to the hilltop, and it was just going dark. And that's when we cracked it, wasn't it? Because it was grey line.
Yeah, grey line is an interesting. That's an interesting time of day. I've had some good success with that even recently. I put up my new station antenna here, and I was done with work for the day. I ran outside because I wanted to tune one of the legs. It was a little long, and I came back in and it was gray line here. And I turned on the radio, and the first thing I heard was a station from Japan calling CQ. And luckily I got him on the first CQ. So I was able to contact him.
I saw your video. I saw the video. It was the first time you've ever worked Japan, and you'd only just put the aerial up.
But yeah, I heard him as if he was next door. It was great. And then right after I contacted him, the pileup started. But I listened for a while, and maybe about 45 minutes or so as the sun set, he faded out. I told my neighbor down the road, who's also a ham, about it, and he tried for the next few days. And he heard him a couple more times. He was getting on, the guy from Japan. Brilliant. But he couldn't bust the pile up. But it was the same thing every day, right around sunset. He was in there strong, and then as the sun set, he faded out. So that's another good point, Chris. If you're going to set up a sked, you may want to think about gray line if that kind of lines up with where you are and the station you're trying to contact.
Yes. Do you want to just explain what that is for the view? I mean, I've got a basic. I mean, I'll say. I mean, I've just learned what it is. I think I know what it is. When I were Australia, for example, I noticed that it was every day at 9:30 in the morning, I could start hearing Australia. And it tied in with the SFI being high, about 9:30 in the morning. And I looked it up I just did a search for a grey line map, and you can see what parts are dark or light in the world. The place I kept hearing was dark. And I looked it up on the internet. When it's going dark there and it becomes grey line, it follows the curve, doesn't it, on the grey line?
It follows that gray line or transition between day and night, kind of around the globe.
Is that what we call long path?
No, I think, well, it could potentially be long path. Well, say you and I, and if we work the shortest path between us over the Atlantic Ocean, that's short path. But there are times when it could be either gray line or some other mode of propagation where we'd go the other way. That I think would be long path.
Just because we've been doing this test, I've learned about the long path, grey line. It's made me look at it. It's interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't really understand it before.
I don't know if I fully understand it yet, but that's the point, is to just experiment with it, try and learn and see what works and see what doesn't.
You've got to use what tools you've got, haven't you? And that's another one. So shall we arrange another contact then, while we're talking about it?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, we should try again here.
Do it the different way around. Next time you hear England, the UK coming in, and what time I finish work roughly, and I'm out and about.
Yep.
Next time you hear the UK coming in, give me a shout and I'll scramble up that hilltop again.
That sounds good. Thanks for joining in, Chris. I really appreciate having this session with you, and I hope the viewers do too. And again, our point here was to just kind of share our experience, our enthusiasm, and kind of encourage you guys to try the same thing, and don't get discouraged if you are trying something like this and it fails. Just keep at it, and you'll get there. And when you do have success, it'll be that much more enjoyable.
I couldn't have said it better. It's never been easier, really, is it? We've got contact with Facebook and Messenger and phone calls. You can contact someone the other side of the world that or the other side of your town or whatever.
But okay, Chris, thanks again. And like I said, everybody out there that's watching, if you haven't seen Chris's channel, make sure you check it out. There'll be some links down below. So that's it for today. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks for having me, Rob. Cheers.
7-3.